So we're talking today about getting your message out on Twitter. And so what we're going to cover today is really sort of getting started on Twitter. What does that look like? How can you best set up your bio and your profile so people know who you are and are interested in what you have to say? We're going to talk about how to write compelling posts and really what that content looks like and how you can grow your account through that. We're going to talk about organizing on Twitter, and we're going to talk specifically about candidate with amplification on Twitter. We're going to do some live demo stuff. We're going to have some practice things. So we're going to start right off the bat with you guys practicing something. So, Nick, do you have the campaign link handy? If not, I've got it.
I don't have it up, sorry.
That's fine. So I'm going to drop something in the chat. And this is a link to our, what we call our social share toolkit. And I'm going to change the screen so it looks like, so you can see what it looks like. There we go. And what this is pre-written tweets that you can post. And what we would like for you to do is, if you can copy that that link and get to it on your phone, we'd love for you to tweet out something from this post. We're going to be seeing the results of that in a little bit later. So I wonder if there's a better way. Nick, maybe could you do a bit.ly link real quick so that they don't have, if they're on their computer, and then
a bit.ly link, sure.
Yeah, for this.
Just a link.
It's in chat. Hold on.
Is it in chat?
I just put it in chat.
Yeah.
Again.
Okay, there we go.
Yep. You should just be able to click through to it.
Yeah. I'm just thinking if they were on their computer and on their phone too.
Right. Right.
But yes, if you'll click on that, go over, you can look to see which of your favorite candidates are here. So I'm going to share one on Dan here. It's really as simple as hitting this customize and share. And it is recommended that anytime you take a text from a toolkit like this or a Word, a Google Doc, that you change it up just a little bit. Twitter's not a fan of seeing a lot of people tweet out the exact same thing. And it's just a matter of adding, an emoji or, something that goes along that just personalizes it a little bit. So I'm going to add the vote button here. And then I'm going to hit tweet, and it's off to the races. That's as simple as it is to post from one of our toolkits. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to jump on here and post something. Are there any questions about this process here? Bit.ly link. Okay, hold on. Okay, so the bit.ly link is bit.ly/VA Blue. Okay.
And just to reiterate how we use these toolkits. So we will, we actually have somebody from Virginia now. His name is Alex, who is interning with us, and he is going to be working to keep our Virginia toolkit very kind of fresh and up to date. So our goal is to have a Virginia toolkit that you can go back to on a daily basis that has kind of fresh new posts that you're going to be able to share on Twitter, but also across other platforms as well, Facebook and Instagram and such. So we're not just showing you something that's kind of a one and done here. This is just the beginning of sort of the summer and fall campaign that we'll be helping to sponsor from the DemCast side.
Okay, so we're going to jump into just starting your Twitter account if you're not on Twitter and you want to start one. You want to make your account one that seems like somebody might follow you. So when you start an account, Twitter gives you suggests based off of your name, and it gives you like random numbers after your name, your account name. You don't have to keep that. You can change that. And we strongly suggest that you do so because people who create multiple accounts to push out like bot farm or troll accounts, they don't spend time customizing their account. And so if you have one that has these random numbers after your name, people will think that you're a bot or a troll. And I just pulled two people who just happen to be following DemCast here. And you can see this person doesn't have a profile picture. They don't have a bio, but this person has a name. I don't know what that name means, but they have a name. They have a handle, account name that makes sense. And it has some things that, I basically agree with. So we'll go into further detail about really truly vetting people, but on the face of this does not look like a account to me. This one I would have no way of, okay? So if you want to change your default Twitter, you go to settings, account, and you can change your account name 2 or 3 times a day if you want to. You don't lose your followers when you change your name. Just literally nothing changes except for your hand. And also you have a name, a picture, a biography, and a banner. All of that by going to your profile and editing your profile. And we strongly recommend that you enable 2-factor authentications, and that is under settings, account, and security. And if you're not familiar with 2-factor, it just means if someone tries to get your password and tries to sign your account, it requires a second step, like a text to your phone or a different password that you have to respond to. Okay, so it just keeps people from getting their account hacked. All right. Do we need to show
one more? Yeah. I think if you could pull it up, I think it'd be good to just whatever we can actually go through is good, as long as we have time. Laura's pulling that up. One other point that I would make that I see mistakes made with candidates sometimes in particular, but just people too, is I think in the old days it was maybe cool or something to have like the at and then your name, but like all lowercase letters. But I would really make sure that your first name is capital, your last name is capital. If you're putting in like HD, whatever your house district is, HD is capital. I see, I just I still see a lot of candidates who I think are missing. There's a visual cue there. Some people just aren't going to catch who you are, what your name is if you're in all lowercase. So just a random tip.
So the edit profile here is you go to your profile. So I clicked on my profile. I'm here. When I go to edit profile, I can change my banner, which is up here. I can change my profile picture. I can change my not my @ here, but the name that shows up. I can update my bio. I can include a website. So particularly for candidates, that's really important. If you're in Virginia, maybe the web page is to your Grassroots Virginia page, to the Register to Vote. It doesn't have to be your own domain. It can be any web page that you're directing people to. Okay. And then if I want to change the @ piece here, I do have to actually go into settings and my account, and I put in my password, and then you would be able to change your handle there. So, okay. All right. So next, let's talk about how you following. At first off, why should you care? I see people in their bio. I don't care if people follow me or not. I'm not here to have a following. Well, if you want to use your account and to spread good messaging, you need to have people who follow you so they see your stuff. If you're just there on Twitter to creep on celebrities, that's fine. It doesn't matter who follows you. That was me for about 5 years. But once I actually realized I could do something with it, I had to change my ways. You need people that are interested in the same things you're interested, because you want to inspire them to take action. And so that's the kind of people you're looking for. You can identify and follow local organizations and influencers. So we have local influencers here right in this room today. So hopefully we'll be following each other. Identify state and national influencers. Know your state hashtag. That we'll talk a little bit about hashtags later.
Or hashtags.
Hashtags. And look for people who are using that hashtag and with messaging that you agree with. Follow local Democratic politicians. Look to see who's commenting positively on their posts, and who's amplifying them. So vetting followers. Once you start following people and you start producing content, people will follow you. And if you want to make sure that you don't have people from the other side following you, or you don't want, misinformation or trolls from following you. Some things that you can look at are, first, look at how old the account is. And what do they retweet, share, or like? And does that line up with their bio? I might say, I'm a proud Democrat, but when you go over to the like page, I've liked Ron DeSantis's posts all down the line. So maybe I'm not a proud Democrat, actually. And then you can increase the likelihood that you'll get a follow back from a regular Joe citizen by liking, retweeting, and commenting on a couple of their most recent tweets, and then follow them. Because all things gives that account a notification. And so you will pop out in their notifications as someone who is engaging with them. Okay. And then continuing on that same concept, you can pin a tweet. I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute, to the top of your account that says something about what you believe in. You can only pin a tweet that you have written, not something you've retweeted. As you follow people, you want to make sure that you keep at least an even number of followers to people you're following, because Twitter has a hard cap at 5,000 people. You can follow up to close to 5,000 people and have no followers. But once you hit 5,000, you've got to have close to 5,000 followers before you can follow anybody else. So instead of following accounts that don't follow back, you have an option to put them on a list. And we're going to show that in a minute. But I think the most important way that you build a following is to find your own voice. Your posts, your original posts, are what's telling people that you have a voice, and they need to be concerned about what you're talking about. So I recommend you post at least twice a day as you're working towards that. You can schedule your posts. We're going to talk about that later. But people want to follow other people who have that authentic voice. So let's take a look at some of those things in Twitter. Okay, so when I go to the DemCast profile here and I scroll down, I don't have a pinned tweet. So if I want to pin a tweet, I have to go to something that I've tweeted. So here's something about lovely Wendy. And like I said, I can only pin this because I wrote this tweet, or this account shared it. And when you click on the menu button below the tweet, there's a little tray here. And it'll say, oh, whoops, it's up here, sorry. The three dots of more. And you have the option to pin this tweet to your profile. And when that happens, that means that no matter how many times I post, this pinned tweet is always going to be the top tweet on my home screen. So when people come and look at who is DemCast and what are they about, this top tweet will hopefully share something about that. And so for like candidates, it might be, their video, one of their last video for their campaign. It might be their donation page, just all sorts of things that you can pin, and you can alternate those as often as you want. Let's see. Okay. All right. So let's talk about those Twitter lists that we mentioned. Nick, you're muted.
I'm muted. Somebody was just asking about lists in chat, so hopefully we'll get to your question there.
Okay. So lists are in your account over here on the side. And you can have a public list, a private list, and you can subscribe to somebody else's public list. So let's look at this. And let's say that they will advertise lists here. But these are all lists that we have. So for example, we have a list here of people who love to spread disinformation. So you can imagine the type of people that are on that. So if I want to create, let's say I'm going to create a list. Up here, I'm going to go to new list, and I'm going to call this the Virginia rock stars. I can put a picture on it if I want to. I can make it private. I'm not going to for now so that you can see.
These are the rock starts.
Oh, starts.
You know, I just
starts.
Editing in progress here.
Right. And so you know what I can do there. Hold on. Is if I want to look at some of these stars we have here, I can look for them and add them to a list. I don't have to be following them to add them to a list. Okay. And I can keep on adding those people to my list. And I can also then share that list. I can tweet it out. Hey, here are the Virginia rock stars you should be following. I can send it to a message. I could copy the link to it. I'll copy it to it and drop it in chat.
And to be clear, what the list produces is not, it isn't like then a list of Twitter users, like in their handles. It's
right.
The combined tweets from all of those people is what shows up in the list. So like I have a sort of critical 2022 House Democrats who we need to hold, where we need to hold those seats. I have all those people in a hold the House list, and I just go to that one time a day and kind of flip through it and to help amplify what they're sharing in their feeds.
So in this, could I just ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
In this case, are you asking us to join that now, and we will develop that as a list for our use, or you're just showing us how to do it?
We're just showing you how to use lists.
Okay.
Because it's a useful way to, like, you can and we can create a Virginia 2021 candidates list and share it with everybody. But you can create lists of, let's say, as a candidate, you could share, if you know people who are in your district, maybe who are influential or who are good followers and who interact with your stuff a lot, you could create a list just of those folks. So we just want to make sure that you have the tools to do it yourself.
Yeah, it's like a curated news feed. So these can even be people you follow, but for like on my account, I have a election news where I've got people like and 538 and just people who talk about like forecasting elections.
Well, I've done some lists before of certain journalists, and I might have another list of something, so I will check my lists.
And Madison, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
Okay. So Madison's question is, will the people in the list, will their content show up on your timeline, or do you need to go to the list to see it? It will show up on your timeline. Here's my thing. I follow like 11,000 people. So my timeline is full of lots of stuff, right? So if I'm going to Twitter for a particular purpose to support House Democrats or to support Virginia Democrats, and I want to do that in a condensed amount of time, a list is a really, really efficient way to do that.
Follow them and see their content in your timeline. You would only see them on that curated Twitter list. You can look at other people's lists. Those three dots will show if you click on somebody else's. So let's look.
Meredith had a great comment. It actually frames it way better than I did. At some point, your Twitter feed becomes a fire hose, and lists become a way to make it manageable and to get around the algorithm filtering your feed. That's exactly right.
Perfect.
That's what it's for.
So I'm DemCast account. I'm now looking at my personal account, and I can view lists. And when I go here, you would be able to see all the lists that I have or subscribe to. So
we can't see your screen. We can't see that. I don't know if you're trying to show that.
So I got here
there you go.
by going to the little 3 dots here on somebody else's account. And when I view lists, I can see all the lists that the person's I'm looking at has. So like
you can also, oh sorry, you can also make private lists. Like I have private lists that are just for me, and so when somebody goes and does those little 3 dots on my account, they aren't able to see my private lists.
Right.
That's where all the baseball players are.
You can follow other people's, like subscribe to their list if it's a public list. Now, we don't recommend that you put average Joe people on a list, on a public list. Some people you'll see in their bio, it'll say no lists, because some people on the other side have used lists to sort of target people. So the best I can advice I have for you is, if you have like public facing figures, reporters, news organizations, any of those people, you can put them on a public list. They're not going to worry about it. Other just regular Joe people, they might not like it. If you get put on a list that you don't like, you can block the person who puts you on a list. I frequently look at whose list I got put on, and it's usually something like libtard nut. And and that's fun because first I go in there and follow all the people that are on the libtard nuts page, and then I block the person who created it. So there's just lots of ways that you can use lists. You can make them have your top 25 accounts. You can have a list of organizations that are, or people that are focused on a particular area. So you could look at, if climate's your thing, or environment, or whatever you really focused on. Well, speaking of the algorithm, let's talk a little bit about that. If you weren't on last night's call, we talked a little bit about this. Algorithm is the AI behind what Twitter thinks that you should be looking at. If you go to your homepage, the algorithm is going to curate things based upon things you've previously engaged with in the past. If you've liked something, replied to it, tweeted it, retweeted it, clicked a link, any of those things increase the engagement of the post, and the algorithm will then boost it higher in your screen if you're following that person. It also prioritizes valuable accounts, and the way they define that is that you have more followers than you're following, and they like to see that you're following no more than 10 to 40% of your of the people who are following you. If you're on a number of lists, and then if you're verified, and also how many followers you have if you're not verified. So just not necessarily fair way of engaging, but that's the people lift up in your home screen. So when I go over to to the home screen here. When I go to the DemCast home screen, there's this little bitty star thing up here at the top. And this is one way that you can do is that home shows you what the algorithm thinks you want to see, but you can just see the latest tweets instead. So when you click on that, it's just going to be tweets as they happen, not necessarily curated to what Twitter thinks you should see.
From the people you follow.
From the people, only people you follow. Right. The only time you'll see a tweet from someone who, I'm looking to see if I can find one, from someone you don't follow is if someone you follow responded to them. So I'm just looking through here, but I don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. All right. And just so you know, every time you log in, you have to change this back to the most recent because it resets.
Yep. It always wants to show you. It always wants to use the algorithm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the company is betting that you'll stay on longer if you're looking at that stuff.
Right. So let's look at the analytics a little bit on a post. So here on my pinned tweet on the DemCast account, you can see there's 11 retweets, 11 likes. And this little 3-line graph here is where I can find the analytics for this post. And it's going to tell me the impressions and the total engagement. So impressions means the number of times people saw this tweet on Twitter. They didn't interact with it, but they scrolled past it at least. They had the opportunity to see it. The people who actually engaged with this, I'm going to see here, we have 11 likes and retweets. We had 2 clicks on the link. So that tells me somebody went and looked at Wendy's site. That's good. The number of people that they expanded the detail about it, and the number of clicks on the profile that tweeted it. So somebody clicked on the DemCast profile, and 2 people went to Wendy's site. Okay. And that will help tell you, and you see this number is changing because people are scrolling past it on Twitter. But engagements is what drives the visibility in the AI. So the more it's engaged with and the more quickly it's engaged with, the faster up in the AI algorithm it goes. Okay. All right. Hold on. No. Okay. Let's talk about writing a post. I'm going to let Nick handle this. He is the master post writer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay. So content. How do you get people to engage with your content? Personalization is extremely important at all, in all instances. All the research tells us that the more kind of viscerally people respond to something, the more likely it is that they'll interact with it. So personal stories go a long way. Explaining how an issue will affect other people or people in the community or the district is really important. On Twitter specifically, because Twitter is a flat platform and you could have followers from any nook or cranny of the country, to help increase your interactions and not make it too hyper localized, and try and get interactions from some of the folks who are following you nationally. If you can relate it to some broader systemic issue that will resonate with other people, that will increase your interactions as well and increase the likelihood that somebody in your district will see it, or your state. I think something that a lot of people miss is the hope or the call to action piece in tweets. A lot of times it's like despair or just like, oh my God, this is terrible or whatever. A lot of times people want to know what they can do about it. And so providing that kind of detail is really important. Definitely whenever you're trying to defeat the narrative from the other side, not amplifying their verbiage is really important. You don't want to repeat the lie. You want to ideally, we're flooding the zone with the truth as opposed to just always responding to the opposition's lies. So, if there's a hot button issue that is being hammered on social media by the other side, preemptively and proactively trying to state the truth is the best thing that you can do with your time on the platform. And as far as engagement goes, always a graphic, a video, a website link will do. A tweet with those things will do better than if you just write a pet photo. Meredith, excellent. Will do better than just a tweet with words. I won't say always. Sometimes, like, there's that magic tweet where it's like 4 words and it gets like 100,000 retweets or something like that. But it's the exception, not the rule. The vast majority of the time, you want to have something to go along with this whatever point you're trying to make. The way that I think about tweets is you want to grab people, like you want to incite that visceral reaction. You want to say something that somebody's going to agree with enough that they're going to want to interact with that tweet. And so, like, say I'm sharing a news article. Let's say there's a news article that's out of the Virginia dogwood, and it's a good article, and I want to share it. One way to share it would be to just tweet out that article, from the website, which basically just has like the headline of the article and then the link, right? That's one way to do it. What I would do is, read the article for sure, and find the piece of it that's most gripping, that's going to connect with people the most, and then use that piece of the article to in the body of your tweet, as opposed to just tweeting the headline, right? So you might say, let's say it's something I'm in Portland, Oregon. Something I'm dealing with is the climate change situation out here, the heat, the fires, the smoke. It's pretty awful in the summer these days. Let's say there's an article that's quoting some of the data about the conditions. maybe I'll have a blurb from the article about the conditions, and then below that I'll say, as somebody from the Northwest, I have to say, this is a serious problem, and I'm personally asking my elected representatives, and then mention them, to advocate for more federal funds to blah 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 blah, right? So just like something that personalizes it is always going to be really, really important. So just like try and grab people is the main thing. Perfunctory tweets don't do well. like if you're a candidate and you're at an event, and there are some good pictures that you want to share, like really try and take advantage of those, and don't just couple the really great pictures with, it was great to be at the event with @mention. Thank you so much for having me. That'll get you some points maybe with those organizations, and maybe that's the point of what you're tweeting. But if you can speak to the purpose of the event or the stakes of what you were getting together for, that's going to get you more interactions on the platform. So try not to just do perfunctory content. It's my advice.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Madison says that she struggles with fitting everything the candidate wants to say, and then she tries to chain tweet it. We'll talk about threading.
Yeah.
You can do that. I would have a couple of things to add here. First off, just start writing all the things you want to say in your tweet. I don't care how many characters it is. Don't worry about the characters at first. Then go back and look at what is it that is really urgent about what I'm posting that needs to be front and center. And then edit everything else out. That helped me find my own personal voice. And I think a lot of times when, especially like for candidates, but in other situations as well, if you have a hyper local issue, a local judge running for office, and they want to talk about, they need to be elected because of, scandal and corruption. You can make that a national issue. If I say I'm running for office because Judge so-and-so was arrested for taking bribes and changing, the outcomes of trials, people might go, wow, that's awful, but are they going to engage with it? And, but saying something that's a universal truth, that, our courts have to have that be held to the highest level of integrity. And we, our justice system is upon it. And I'm running to replace a corrupt judge, in whatever area. No matter where you're from, I could use your support. That makes a more compelling message than, hey, I'm a judge and I'm running against this guy who got arrested. Okay, well, if I lived in this town, I might be interested, but other than that, probably not. There's another comment about promoting an event. I would suggest you promote local events on Facebook, and if you have a Twitter organization, which we'll talk about in a little bit, promote to the group. Promoting a local event on Twitter just probably doesn't do a whole lot. But go live during the event on Twitter. Post pictures and talk about what you accomplished at this event, like Nick said. So Twitter to me is sort of the reporting after the fact. And you can certainly, tweet out a sign up to Canvas, but you're probably just not going to get this if you spent the same time doing that on Facebook, where it's local people who are following you. who are interested in volunteering. All right. So if you weren't on last night's call, please take a vote or a guess on what the average lifespan of a tweet is on Twitter. So this is just how long a tweet stays around that people might see it if they log on. Put in your guesses in the chat. Got an hour, 3 seconds, 36 hours. Okay, we have a wide variety here. Minute, days. Yep. Oh, we've got lots of varieties here. So the answer is 18 minutes. So unless you're a candidate or a representative, if you're just an average Joe, don't spend more than 18 minutes writing your tweet, because that's as likely as the length of time that somebody might actually see it. All right. And I have sat beside people and held their hand and they spent an hour composing their tweets. And that's okay at the beginning, but you've got to get that stuff down, because Twitter is pretty fleeting. And you can spend all of your time, and it's discouraging if you spent 2 hours writing a thread on something and nobody sees it. I will demonstrate how to write a thread real quick, because that was mentioned. So if I hit the tweet button and I say on live with EA whatever, and I add a graphic, then I can tweet that. But if I hit this little plus sign and I'm on with I can add as many tweets as I want to this, it's called a thread. And then once I'm done, I can hit tweet all and they'll stay together. Those 3 tweets that I put out will stay together. What I'm going to tell you though is people don't read long tweet threads in general. They don't interact with them. And if you're going to write one, then you really need to think about what you're trying to accomplish. Could you write an article or a blog post that goes into the detail and summarize it with the tweet with a link to the blog? Those are the kinds of things you want to think about. If you do a thread, don't stop in the middle of a sentence and continue it on the next one, because nobody is going to retweet a comment or that starts in the middle of a sentence. Okay. So it's just be thinking about it. I mean, I have written some long threads in the past, but I've really gotten away from it. So one thing is a best example of its use. It might be that in my first post, I write about the issue. And in my second post, I do like a CC and I tag people in the post. And in my third post, I might have another link to supporting documentation. Also, you can do this thread. You don't have to do it all the time. If you write a post and then later you want to add something to it, you just reply to yourself and they stick together. That's one way you can reply to a troll without replying to the troll. You can reply to yourself and fact check whoever is spouting nonsense on your thread.
So I just dropped an example. I just dropped an example of a thread. I almost never do threads because there's people will reach. Twitter users are total ADD. They're totally ADD. So the odds that they're actually going to read down are very, very, very low. I did this one just because it was completely impossible to get the point across I wanted to get across in a single tweet. And so sometimes there's just a time that you have to do that. But you can see the top one has 4,000 retweets. The second one, Lori, if you scroll down, 493. And then, if I'm looking at here, I'll just on mine, I'll look at the impressions. So my top tweet, the first tweet has 822,000 impressions. So that's the number of times that was seen on Twitter. The second one has 52,000. So that's about, oh gosh, public math. I don't know.
A lot
it's
less.
a lot less than 822,000. So just be aware that it's diminishing returns the more you try and do that. Like Lori said, like putting it in a blog post and doing a tweet about the blog post is probably a better use of time, because you can also share the blog post on Facebook and send it on your email list and all that kind of stuff. So,
and speaking of that, we have DemCastUSA.com, where we publish all sorts of grassroots opinions.
Indeed.
Well written articles, things that you might
send candidate profiles. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, candidate profiles. Yep. So if you need a place to say a lot of stuff on, we would be happy to host your content. All right.
Yeah, Jim, I think it's, I would maybe, it depends on how compelling the thread is. So Jim's comment is I was thinking it's probably better to tweet out an entire blog post than hoping people click on it. True. Clicks are very, very low, very low. So it's just going to depend on how compelling you think what you have to say is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to move over and talk about hashtags. And so on Twitter, hashtags are the way to make sure that your content is seen by people who do not follow you. This is really the only way, unless if somebody shares your post, then their followers will see it, right? But if nobody shares your post and you use a hashtag, anybody who clicks on that hashtag can see everybody who has a public profile that used that hashtag. And you can look at the top, like the tweets that got the most interaction, or you can look at the latest hashtags. So what I did was I just pulled some statistics here, and we're going to walk you through how to do this. But I looked to see, like, what is the best hashtag to use for Virginia politics? I looked at VAPOL, which is a common state-based. There were 100 tweets in 5 days with, 250,000 impressions, a reach, and 1 million impressions. If I looked at just Virginia, hashtag Virginia, lots more activity there. But which one do you think you would want to use? What do you guys think?
VA poll, right? I don't know.
Yeah. I think the question is, it depends on your post. if it's solely political, you can still use the hashtag Virginia post. When I looked at the content under hashtag Virginia, it was not very political. But you could use, we recommend, at least I recommend, not using more than two hashtags in your post. And so you could use both of those, VA poll and Virginia. And Madison, on Twitter, yes, it's all about the hashtag. Twitter and Instagram, it's all about the hashtag.
And TikTok.
And TikTok. You could use that. I know that you guys are using Keep VA Blue. So I ran that before this session here, and it's in the bottom right corner. It says in 8 days, there's been 338 with this hashtag with 2.7 million impressions. When you want to track and see how you're doing, you want to actually use a hashtag that hasn't had a lot of, and really Keep VA Blue hasn't had a tremendous amount of traffic. It's had a little bit more than VA Politics, but not these have had a lot of. So I know that Keep VA Blue is the one that you guys want to use. So since it hasn't had a tremendous amount of use, we are encouraging you to set some goals about how many tweets that you can get and how many impressions you can get. Virginia Dems are using Keep Virginia Blue. And the thing about hashtags is it takes up character space in your tweet. You only have 280 characters to have your message. And so the smaller the hashtag, the more content you can write in your tweet. So just think about that when you're choosing your hashtag. All right. So Stair mentions Democrats deliver. We endorse that. And that's actually our hashtag. And because we have to nail home the people who are bringing good stuff and what those things are. All right. So let's look at how you would determine this Twitter search for analytics. Share. So I have this in the PowerPoint. It's socialbearing.com. And I will actually go back to the beginning here. Social Bearing is great for small events. And I don't mean small. I just mean that if you generate 1 billion impressions, Social Bearing will drive you crazy. I would say for all of you, it's going to be perfectly fine and it's free. So that's the best. If you want to search, it's much better to sign in because the site actually works better. So if you sign in, you have to have approved it. And so if I want to look at, let's look at just for some comparison. Let's look at Democrats Deliver. And it's going to load 100 tweets at a time. So within the last hour, there have been 100 tweets and it's generated 750,000 impressions. If I hit load more, it's going to load the next 100 tweets. And if it found more, you can keep on going until you fall over because it takes a long time. All right. So this is one of the things I don't like about social bearing is sometimes it just sort of craps out on you, which it did there. But so you can see in 2 hours over 200 tweets. There's more information that you can look at kind of how it's happened over time, what things have been tweeted with that, what words have been used with it, and then you can see, who are the top users of it. Right? So if I want to look at, let's say, Keep VA Blue. And I know you guys said that the Virginia Dems are using Keep Virginia Blue. If there's any way that you guys can come to a meeting of the minds and use the same hashtag, you're going to be better off because consistency of message is really important. So this is looking at the last 100 tweets. Now remember, I looked at Keep VA Blue before this, and it took 8 days for me to find 300 tweets. So let's just see what I've got here. All right, so in 1 day, we have doubled the impressions. And really in 1 hour.
Whoop, whoop. In 1 hour, yeah.
Okay. And that's not even going back and including all the tweets I had found before. Okay. So I think it'll probably get 5 million impressions here. So with concerted action, you can really increase what's seen on social, particularly on Twitter. Okay.
That's literally just people sharing from the toolkit when we first got on.
Right.
That's what did that.
That's what did that. All right. Okay. All right. Do we have any questions about any of this? Yeah, and trending is good. It takes a lot. It takes about anywhere from 1,500 to 1,000 tweets to really get something to trend on Twitter, and it's really not. It's fleeting. It's fleeting. Let me just say, things trend on Twitter. They don't usually trend for very long. We have a question about how is it computing the sentiment percentage. I don't put any faith in that. And I'll tell you why. It's because it looks at the words that you're saying, but not the context that you're saying them in. So as a great example, Donald Trump always had great positive sentiments scores on his tweets. Why? Because he kept saying great and good and excellent. And, of course he was talking about batshit crazy stuff, but it didn't matter because he's using all the positive words in that context. So I don't pay any attention to the sentiment piece. All right. And then when you're using a hashtag, capitalization, capitalize the first letter of each word generally so that people can read it. Okay. All right. So and just to close the loop on hashtag, we're happy to, if from the Network Nova folks, if it seems like we'll get more traction out of Keep Virginia Blue with Virginia spelled out, that's fine. Just let us know if we want to
coalesce with what the party's doing. We can change our toolkit so that it matches whatever you guys want.
All right, so we have a group activity now. Nick, we have Lana.
We do, yeah. So Lana tweeted out a awesome share. Lana, do you have the? Sorry, I need to find the link to it unless you have it handy.
To the tweet or to the video itself?
To the tweet.
To the tweet. I can pull it up.
Sorry.
No, you're good. We tweeted from Katie. I'm with Katie Sponsors Campaign. Katie's sorry she couldn't be on here herself. She had an in-person event tonight, but she's running for the House of Delegates in the 66th district. She's in a really flippable seat this year. I'm sure a lot of you have met her at the Women's Summit or have heard about her. But yeah, we got a bio video done of Katie. We really love it. We think it's great. And
it's a good video.
Yeah, we tweeted it out. It's playing on my screen. Don't mind that. And with a little message.
It might be good. It's pretty quick. It might be good to play it. Laura, do you want to play it from your?
Yeah, I can play it.
Screen.
There's Laura.
A family of
folks. It's a great video.
Living. When I was 18, I got married and had my daughter. I was a waitress working double shifts to pay all the bills. One day at work, I was closing up. There was an armed robber. He fired 2 shots, and one of them struck my left arm. I realized that I had to do something to make opportunities for my daughter and I. So I joined the Air Force, enlisted, served for 11 years in the United States military. I was able to get a job with the Park Service. I'm not a starving 18-year-old kid waiting tables anymore. But something that was so deeply ingrained in me from the time I was born that somebody needs help, you give it. A lot of the people in this district have just been left behind. We need people who have lived those experiences, who are willing to fight, making direct changes that make their lives better. People would start to see impact on their lives. When we have good representation, we have good lives.
Wow. I got chills watching that. That is awesome.
Great video.
Yes, lovely. So Lana put that in the in chat. What we would love for you to do is, Lana, if you can look at the analytics on that post, when there's a video, you'll be able to see how many views. So it's had 28 views right now. So here are the things that you can do to amplify this post. So you can click on the person. You can click on the hashtag. You can, she's got 2 hashtags. You can retweet it. You can like it. You can reply. So I've got a little reply on there. And so if everybody on here will do the same, retweet it now. Nick, I would imagine is going to, the other thing you can do is quote. So now we've got quote tweets. So when I click on this retweet, I can also quote it and say something like, you need to watch this video and follow at Katie. And I'm going to use our hashtag. And I'm going to tweet it. And then I'm going to take this little share button and I'm going to send it to some people that I know are interested in keeping Virginia blue. So this send via direct message, I'm going to send it to our Virginia room. And I'm also going to go and look to see what other places I could put this in. I'm going to put it in our DemCast. We're going to talk about how you get to these rooms and how you make these rooms in a little bit, but this is the kind of thing that you can do to organize. Let's see. Okay. So that gets it in a few here. Now, Nick, did you do the video?
I'm typing right now.
Okay. So another thing that you can do, oh, look, is you can then go onto the hashtag, keep VA blue. And it's going to give us the top, but I'm going to go to the latest. And I'm going to like and retweet these people. That's just amazing. There's Robin. So there's lots of options here. And now we're getting out of the video story here, but that's Katie. The other thing you can do, which Nick is going to do. Oh,
sorry, I'm working on it. I had a weird thing with my video went out. I'm seeing what you're seeing. I'm not. Anyway, I'm like on twice now. Once on my phone and once on video, but it's fine. It worked out.
All right. So what you can do is if you go to this tweet, you can also
folks
copy the video address.
I was 18. I got me.
And you can write your own post with that embedded. Is that going to give the tweet or the video? I always get this mixed up. Hold on. Okay, so what you do is you go to reply, and instead of replying, copy this link, this pic.twitter.com, and you copy it. And then when you tweet, you're going to tweet the video, and it won't be quoting her post, but yep. And I will do. So when I tweet that, now you can see that instead of quoting the tweet that has her, it's going to actually just embed her video in my post.
And I dropped mine in chat where I did the same.
Okay. Yeah. You know, here's the thing. I think when you quote somebody, you don't get as much traction as when you post it originally. I don't really know why, but because Nick is posting it and more people who follow him will watch this. So I think there were 23 views when we started. There's 387 views now. And because we lifted that video from her account, the video count watch will stay on there. So no matter if I tweeted it out, Nick did. Now, if you sent us the video and we posted it on our own, then just be counting watches the video that I posted got, not the cumulative one. So that's why it's good to pick up that video from whoever posted it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So while you're on Twitter, if you'll go search that Keep VA Blue, like, retweet any of the posts with that are appropriate. And then we'll take a look at how that ends at the end of the session here. Okay, so
we'll let it travel around for a little while and see what happens.
Exactly. Okay, so the next thing is about scheduling your tweets. The nice thing about this is that if there is a scheduled event, let's say Friday noon is when the Keep VA Blue team is going to be tweeting, and I want to participate, but I'm traveling and I won't have the ability to do that. What I can do is I can write my own post, and this is available on both mobile and computer. It looks a little bit different on mobile, but you can still do it. At the bottom of your post, you have, you can add media, a GIF, a poll. This is emojis. And then this here is, when do you want this to go out? So if I wanted to go out on Friday, which is tomorrow, and I wanted to go out at, let's see, noon Eastern, so that's 1 my time. So I'll set it for 1 o'clock. Is that right? Did I do that backwards? Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Now it'll send it. No, I don't have to be online. I don't have to have. Twitter will just send this tweet out at that time so that I can participate in the event. Okay. That makes it very nice. I used to do this all the time when you're trying to keep that consistent content, drumbeat of content going, because that's how you get followers. I would write my tweet the night before and schedule it to go out in the morning, and then I don't have to worry about it. Okay. All right. And that is actually in the PowerPoint we just looked at, tells you how to do that. All right. Michael has a question about the session recording. Yes, I believe that that's going to be, it's being recorded. and you're going to send out the PowerPoint and the links to the recording. I think next week is what they're planning on doing. Okay. So tagging and mentioning. So this is when you type the person's @ in the tweet. And when you might want to do this is you're getting someone's attention. So if you want Nick to retweet something, you could put his handle in the tweet or attach, in a post related to the tweet. He might see it. It depends on how many notifications they get. I'm going to be honest. One time I left my computer up and the next day I came in and I had 10,000 notifications. So it can be a little overwhelming. If you are calling somebody out and you want them to know about it, you would use their handle because they'll get a notification. So politicians want to know what people are saying about them. If you want to tag them in a photo, and I'm going to pull that up so you can see, you can tag up to 10 people in a photo. They don't have to be in the photograph. I think that's what it was originally intended to be for, like on Facebook. But in this case, it's this is just notifying people that that you are included on this. In order to tag someone in a photo, they have to have allowed that in their. So if people are tagging you and you don't want them to, you can turn that off. Nick does not have that enabled, so you'll have to add him in the body of the tweet. I do have that enabled. And you can limit it to just friends if you want to.
Lori, we can't see what you're seeing if you're demoing right now.
I hadn't switched over. Are you seeing my?
Okay. We're seeing the PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Okay, yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Okay, good. You can also mention anybody you want in a tweet or tag them, but just realize it is against Twitter's terms of service to do so if you have blocked them. So if you've blocked, like if I've blocked Marsha Blackburn, my senator on Twitter, I'm not supposed to use her @ it. So it keeps her from seeing if I'm talking about her, and I could get removed for that. And then the other thing is, don't snitch tag. So if I write out, I detest Marsha Blackburn, she's the worst senator in the world, I can't stand her, she's totally wrong on this issue. And then somebody replies to that and says, yeah, vote Marsha for Tennessee. Well, that just tagged her in my post. And if I had wanted to tag her in my post, I would have put her @ in my post. So don't add additional handles if the person didn't do that in their thing. And you can see like this is not the best way because you have a graphic here. If you have a picture, and I'm going to change over so you can see my screen. If you have a picture like this, you can tag people. And again, you can only tag people. See, Nick can photos. Nick, that's not friendly. So I'm going to tag Lori, who is friendly. And I can search for people like Jamie, who's friendly. And I can
pretty much everybody except for Nick.
Pretty much everybody, yeah. Well, no, there's a few. So I can have 10 accounts there that will get notified when I post this picture and my tweet. Now, if I wanted to get their attention, I could say CC. So you'll still get a notification, even though I can't tag him in the. Okay. and this
I
works.
won't see the notification, but you can do whatever you want.
That's right. Works great for organizations, or like, if we're if we want to get the word out about an event, maybe I want to tag the local Democratic Party and the local Indivisible group, and some influencers in the area. So just it's a great way to sort of spread your message, and the people would see that through their notifications, not necessarily on their home screen. And they don't have to follow you for you to tag them, as long as they've enabled that ability.
And this is obviously this is only if you're, you can only tag a picture. You can't tag an article. You can't tag a video, but you can tag a picture. It's a great way, though, to, if you are using a picture, it's a great way to sort of goose your engagement numbers without taking up a bunch of space in your tweet. It's a good strategy.
And I don't recommend just putting in a ton of in a tweet. I would lie to myself with those handles, like check this out. I thought you'd be interested in this. So this gives you that ability, because if you are filling up your post up here with their ats, you won't have any characters left to talk about what you want to share. Okay.
Well, and beyond that, if a tweet is all blue, meaning all the text is blue except for like 4 words, and it's like, join us today, and you have the picture of the event, but then it's like 10 different @ handles of different people and 5 hashtags. Like, people just don't amplify that kind of tweet. I look at something like that and I just flip right past it. I don't have time to figure out what all that gobbledygook is. so minimizing the blue, minimizing the amount of the blue in the tweet is important.
Absolutely. Madison has a question. If you want to unmute yourself, you can ask.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. It was a little complicated. I'm not sure if you just answered it because I was trying to find a light. But whenever I post a picture, like it kind of cuts it off and like only like a little bit, and it looks really weird. So like when I post an endorsement that Caitlin got, it looks like her chin shows. So I don't know how to fix that.
On Twitter and Facebook, the size of graphic matters. So it's 16:9 ratio. Will work on both Twitter and Facebook. So the square type photos are great for Instagram, but not for Twitter and Facebook. So
awesome.
Okay. They don't translate.
That you recrop. There's lots of video, free things that you can use. Like Canva has a free app that you can put graphics in and pictures.
Oh yeah, I just have our graphic designer do that. I'm not tech savvy whatsoever, so I'll just let her know that it's more specific. Thank you so much.
No, it's a great question. Like, and so not trying to post Instagram size photos or graphics on Twitter is really important, because it gets your it's like this, it just doesn't work. So it's 16:9. We at DemCast, if you want to pass this along to the graphics people, we size all of our Twitter graphics to 1200 by 675 pixels, which is just, I think it's that ratio. It's 16:9, I think, but that's the size that we use. And I think that we looked up that's a good resolution for Twitter. So hopefully that's
Thank
helpful.
you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about organizing on Twitter. So the way that we do that is in direct groups. And to start a message group, you have to message at 2 people together, and then you can develop a group from that. So I'm going to share this, and we're going to walk you through how to do that. So these are all direct message groups that you're looking at that DemCast is a part of.
So Lori clicked over on the left side where it says messages there. And that's what brought up. Sometimes these will just be messages with individuals. Sometimes there'll be these rooms or direct message groups.
And if you're on your phone, at the bottom of your menu, there's a little envelope button, and you push that to open up messages. Okay. And I once had to tell somebody it's a box with a V in it because they couldn't find the envelope button. So just so you know, you can't find the envelope. It's a box with a V in it. All right. So to start this new message, as DemCast, I'm going to send a message to Nick. Wow. Nick and Lori. And now I have this new message, and I have to say something in there. Hi, new friend. Once I do that, I now have the beginnings of a direct message group. And I can customize that. I can edit the name of it. So I can say, oh, this group is network. And I can put in a Virginia picture. I have one, but that's not a good one, so never mind. And then when I save it, now I have a new group called Network Nova. And I add whoever I want to it. Now, with the caveat that they have to be following the person who's adding them. So if they're not following you, you can't add them unless they have open messaging. Most people have limited the people who can send messages to them as only the people that they but some have open messaging. I have open messaging, which means I get a lot of really interesting messages.
Yeah.
So now my group has 3 people. I can add up to 75 in this room. And under snooze notifications, people who they've never been in a message group before and they don't get a lot of notifications, this is going to freak them out because every time somebody posts anything, they're going to get a notification about it. So if they have a sound on that gives them a message, something that every time somebody posts a notification. So the first thing I do is tell people to turn off the notifications if that's bothersome to them. They can turn it off on their phone settings, but they can also turn it off in this message group. Okay. They can also snooze mentions. So mentions would be if I go into the group and I say, hey, at Nick. If I do that, that's a mention. So I usually leave that on because if somebody needs me enough to type my handle in there, then I want to know that that's happening. But you can turn that off as well. I don't believe this, not one bit. That's misinformation. Disinformation.
Slipping a little disinfo in there for you.
Yeah. You can add, you can share tweets in here. You can share messaging. You can share links to toolkits. You can have conversations.
Do you want to really quick just show how to share a tweet?
I do.
Because that's one that stops people up. from participating in groups?
Get here. So you can share any tweet. It doesn't have to be one you've written. It could be someone else's tweet. But for this example, I'm going to share this one that, and I can share it a couple of ways. I can quote, send it via direct message. So if you only have a couple of message groups, then that works out fine. So I know I want to send this to Network Nova. I can add a comment here, click on the arrow, and it says it was sent. And when I go to messages, there it is.
There it is. And now I can go and click on it and amplify that tweet.
The other way I can do it is I can just copy the link to the tweet, and I can go in there and I can paste the link to the tweet in, and it's going to do the same thing. Looks like we got a lot of chat here.
A couple ways you can share.
Oh, so Lana is saying the video is at 1,500 views, 38 likes, 30 quote tweets, and we've gotten 8 new followers since it was posted. That's amazing. It's their best performing tweet ever.
That's great. That's great. That's the power. And you know, that's a result of the whole bunch of us doing that all at the same time. It kind of catches the algorithm. It gets it in front of other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's how that works.
Yep, exactly. And if you
go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You first.
I was going to say, like Sarah said, we've got this Virginia DemCast room, which you know, everybody's welcome in. That's our existing room, so just let us know if you want to be included in that, and we'll drop you in. Then you can test out your direct message group skills.
Yeah.
So you basically just have to get into the habit of checking your messages if you go on Twitter, right? Yeah.
Right. Or you can leave
Right.
notifications on.
Yep.
Like I don't have I don't have sound notifications, but I allow the badge notification on my phone, so I can see how many notifications I have.
Well, I started doing like notifications for certain individuals, and it's driving me crazy. So I need to turn those off.
Yeah.
Yep.
So message groups themselves are private. So if you're not in that group, you can't search it and find it. You can't see what's written in it. Now, that doesn't mean that people in the group can't screenshot and share what's said in the group. So you just need to, I would treat it like a public space, even though it's only public to the people that are in there. And then just some etiquette around groups that can be helpful. When you, it's good to have a room moderator, someone who kind of checks in on the group every day and make sure things are okay, nobody has questions. Even though technically everybody in the group could add another person in the group, you find out if there's limits or restrictions around that. So like for us, for our DemCast people, we'd love for them to sign up with us. So if you're not already, in our database, we'd love for you to at least give us some basic information so that we can keep you in the loop about stuff that's going on. If you have somebody who wants to join a group, and when you try to search their name, it doesn't come up, that's a form of a search ban, and you cannot add them until that ban is lifted. If you get a message that a person can, like you find the person and you click add, and then it says this person could not be added, it's because either they're blocking someone in the room or someone in the room is blocking them, and you cannot add them until that is fixed. One of the things that is sort of etiquette is that you follow the people in the room. That's one of the ways people build their followings, is they organize and then they follow each other. So if you go back to that little message group, I'll show that. If I go to a message group here, hold on, let me go actually to my messages. This little I at the top right is the details about this group, and it will list everybody who's in the group so you can easily follow them. This is also how you get out of the group. If you don't want to be in this anymore, you can leave. If you decide to get in an argument with somebody that's unfriendly in the room, don't do that in the room where everybody can see that. Message them separately and explain, have your argument offline. And don't block people that are in the room unless something crazy has happened. Like we had somebody who, in one of the message rooms I was in, was sharing porn. Well, immediately we blocked him out. So I think his account actually got hacked. But that's the sort of thing that, you know, you can mute somebody and be in a room with them and you don't see any of their and they don't even know that they've been muted. So that's nice. All right. So do we have any questions about message groups organizing? Let's see. Yep. I mean, and really what we're talking about here on digital, on Twitter, is nothing, it's not anything different from relational organizing in real life. You're just doing it on a digital platform. Yeah. Okay. So we will move on. And for people that are not big Twitter users, this is sort of the guidance we give the people who join our Twitter amplification team, is that what we're asking for is that you just drop on 5 minutes a day. It doesn't even have to be all the same at 5-minute chunk. A couple times a day for a couple of minutes. That's actually how most people use Twitter.
Lori, are you on the next slide? Sorry, we're still seeing the Twitter.
Sorry.
There you go.
So some things that you can do are to comment positively on a candidate's post, search the hashtag that you're using, and share it or retweet it, share it to the group, write an original post from an elected Democrat in your state, ask a friend to join. So it doesn't have to take like lots and lots of time. If people are just willing to get on, even 3 or 4 times a week for 5 minutes, but that can make a big difference when you're talking about multiple people. All right, so amplifying your candidate, just some ideas. One thing you can do, and that's what I believe, Stair, maybe you had mentioned that you had put some people on alert. So what this is when you follow somebody, you can actually click the little bell and you will get notified every time they tweet. Whatever you do, do not do that for Nick's account or my account, because we tweet like people. You do not want to get a notification every time we tweet. Like I have Joe Biden on notification, and he tweets about once every other day. Perfect. I have Ron Klain, who is the White House chief, notification. He tweets a lot of good stuff. So if you want to keep up with someone who's tweeting a lot, put them on a list, and that way you all of the content that they're doing.
Hey, Lori.
Mhm.
I gotta go and pick up the kids.
Okay.
So I'm turning into a pumpkin, people. Thank you so much. Sorry I have to hop out a little early. My kids got to get picked up at 6 West Coast time. So thanks for having me, and my emails I shared a second ago in the chat, so anybody can reach out about anything anytime.
All right.
Take it home, Lori. Thanks. Bye.
Some other ways that you can do, have people assigned to share tweets from candidates into the group. We have groups where it's a candidate group, and the candidate has organized it, and they interact with the group and they post their tweets in there. Just so you know, if you are involved in a C3, C4 PAC, simple social media amplification is not considered coordination at the federal level. Most of the races we're talking about here today are state races, and in Virginia, it's not. It's okay to do that as well. That is state by state, though. You have to identify what the rules are around. You can schedule a social event. So amplify an in-person is going to be a rally or a speech, then we can amplify that. Include ways to get engaged, set a time for the team to be online together, make a concerted effort. So that's what we've done today. And practice that message discipline. Be consistent with that hashtag. So before and after, let's look and see now what we have accomplished with our Keep VA Blue hashtag. So we did this search earlier, and I could just redo the search, but I could also scroll here and say load newer. So that'll be all the tweets and hashtag shares that have been happening since we first ran this. And because it's blue, I can keep loading. Okay, so I've loaded all the new ones. And our new total impressions is 6 million impressions. We started off at 2.5 million. So that's amazing. Great job, guys. All right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open this up for any questions that you might have. We have just a few minutes left, but yes, please feel free. The Katie video now has 2.1 to over 2,000 views. So that's great. I'm going to type in my email in the chat as well. All right. So anybody have any questions?
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much, Lori, for all that you guys have done. And before I close up, Dennis has her hand up, so yeah, I'm going to bring Dennis up. I'm sorry.
Little question.
Here.
I know that you can go into your profile and see who's following you, but I noticed that I lost some followers. Can you see who dropped out? Is there any way to?
There's no way to do that on Twitter. Okay. There are multiple like third-party apps like Hootsuite and Unfollowed Me, and you can search in the App Store, and you can connect your Twitter and it'll tell you who followed you and who unfollowed you. sometimes what happens though is that if you're followed by people that are suspended for any reason,
Or what? I missed a word there.
if they're suspended for any
Oh,
reason,
I see.
then it will make it look like they stopped following you. And then when they get reinstated, they'll pop back up. Also, Twitter goes through and sort of purges the people that they think are not real people. And so if you all of a sudden one day you're holding steady and then one day you lose like 20 people, it's probably because they did a bot purge.
It's their purge day. Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting. Can I ask you, I just thought of one other question. I know this may be too long an answer, but I tried the click to tweet that you talked about yesterday, and I didn't see a way to add a graphic. I just saw a way to add text. Or do you have to pay for that, or no?
So what you have to do, it's not any fun. I'm just going to tell you.
Okay.
What you have to do
Should I write this down?
is tweet the graphic.
Oh.
Take that tweet, that pick link. So remember how we looked at the video? If we respond, it said pick.twitter. /number. So when you tweet out that, you have that pick.twitter. You copy and paste that into your tweet on the click to tweet site. Let me show you.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's not easy. I wish it was. Okay, no.
That brings on my question, which is how valuable do you feel that click to tweet is? I mean, that's sort of what DemCast does. I mean, they provide that for us.
Right. I think DemCast is great if you have, click to tweet is fine if you have one message that you're just trying to get out. The problem with it is that it's a cookie cutter message, and Twitter can really look at that as spam.
Well, also, that's what you had said before, that they don't want everybody tweeting the same thing.
So here I've got a post that has a graphic, right? So when I go to hit reply, there is this link right here. And then when I go to click to tweet, let's see if this still works. It's been a while since I've done it this way. I forgot who that was. Who was that? Oops.
Fennell, wasn't it?
No.
Yeah.
At Norton for Delegate. Okay, so now I've got this, and if I go to Twitter and actually, I need to drop it somewhere. I'll drop it in chat.
So it creates a tweet that somebody else can make their own tweet,
Right.
but they cannot edit they don't have a way to edit.
They can. They
They
can.
can? Okay, so it's
So
they
when I
can't
click that,
necessarily be
it's
cookie.
it's gonna pull up the tweet. They can't do, if they edit the pic.twitter.com, it'll screw it up.
Yep.
But they could say, they could add an emoji here or talk more about the candidate. So they can customize
Change
it.
the text. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But yes, you can't put a graphic in a tweet. You have to pull it off. Somebody has to have tweeted it out. And you can do it from your account and then pull it and put it in the click to tweet.
Thank you. I didn't see any instructions for that on this.
Yeah, it's a little cumbersome, which is why we like our toolkit. All right. Any other questions? Somebody said when you say sign up, please explain. So I dropped in the link to sign up for DemCast. It's demcast.com/join. You can let us know if you want to be in your state room, if you want to help on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and what you want your role to be. So we're happy to have any and all of you fabulous people.
And we have one last question from Joanne. Joanne, you get our final question.
Okay, thank you. I was present when you did the social media storm for Deborah Gardner, which I thought was fabulous. It was exciting just watching the numbers go up, kind of as we did for Katie Sponsler this evening. So my whole reason for being here is that I belong to an organization, 31st Street Swing Left, and we would like to do that. We'd like to host social media storms from time to time. We have monthly meetings where we usually have upwards of 100 people present. We hosted a fundraiser this evening that had about 90 people. So I'm thinking, and when you did Deborah Gardner, I think there were about 100 people in the room when we did that. So my question is, is that something we can do totally on our own? Is that something we could invite a representative from DemCast to come help us do? And I guess I should also say I'm not even on Twitter yet. I don't have a Twitter account. So there are some in the group who do, but just not me.
You can do it on your own. We're more than happy to help you. We partner with lots of Swing Left at your Swing Left group. We partner with a lot of them, and partnerships just basically mean we help promote your events and help you publicize storms like that.
Okay.
And then you share with your members an opportunity for them to join DemCast as amplifiers as well. So it's a win-win situation. There's no fee involved or anything like that. We're here to
okay.
work hand
So I
in
can
hand.
just touch base with you separately and do that.
And especially on it'd probably be good if you wanted us to help you, figure out how to do it. And then you'll probably be off to the races.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so then with that, I'm going to thank you very much, Lori. I want to thank Nick and the entire DemCast team for working with us tonight.